All right.
We're rolling. Okay, our first podcast.
Yes, how exciting.
How exciting.
Well, I think we should start with how did we meet? Basically, how we met, and after we got to know each other, we realized we were both were very unique and different.
Yeah.
And in the past, I had been involved with different things about women and women executives, and the word remarkable woman kept coming up, and then made me realize that women who are unique and different and intelligent and find it difficult to meet other women like them. A book I read called them, "This is a gift and you're a remarkable woman."
Yeah.
The fact that we met was something that we look back on now and say it was the God thing.
Yes.
Because I had joined Cowboy Fit because it was Ed, and I hate to use the word died. I always say Ed went upstairs on January 17th, and his friends, golfing buddies, said, "Okay, Alice, you got to do one thing different because you've been, 8 years taking care of him, and you need to do something different." And they said, Cowboy Fit is opening up just right near your house, and they have a special membership. You'd be one of the initial members. And so I thought, well, I love to work out. So I went there and started in April. Mm-hmm. And you...
Yeah,
you're coming to Cowboy Fit's an unbelievable story as well.
Yeah, I had just finished massage school, and I was going to incorporate some of my muscle testing training and my personal training, and a friend sent me the link that said this place in Dallas was hiring, and I applied to probably 10 other different jobs more local to Ohio and didn't get one of them except for the Cowboys Fit. It was definitely a God thing, and my resume wasn't even exactly what they were looking for, so it was kind of a bizarre but God thing that we even met. And
then when they had different fitness people, interviewed the people that had memberships, and so Jamie was the one who I interviewed with, and we started working out, and I had told her about my shoulder because I had been lifting Ed for about 6 months, and my shoulder basically had collapsed, and she said, "Well, you need to meet Katie because she's a massage therapist." And I said, "Oh, great." And so that's how we met.
Yeah.
Well, and almost immediately we realized that our brains were like, boop, boop, boop. Our brains never stopped.
Yeah. And I just remember in our session, even now, but in our training sessions, it was just one thing after the other. There was no dead space in the conversation. Or
every once in a while, I was like, "Are we really going to work out, or are we just going to talk?"
I'm like, "How about we go on this machine and do some reps?"
Well, and it's interesting because last night when I had dinner with probably my oldest friend here in Dallas, I said, "I've really thought about it," because she's incredibly intelligent as well. Mm-hmm. She skipped 2 grades in high school and graduated from college at 20. Wow. So she's very intelligent. Now, we share nothing else. She hates fashion. She's not into fitness.
Yeah.
But we can just talk all the time because of the and I said, I've been thinking about this a lot because I was like, who else has a brain like mine? And of course Ed did. And I was like, Katie, 50 years apart, but it's taken me 50 years to have a second or third person who shares the same brain. And so again,
all of it was a God thing.
Yeah.
We're in the same season, but we're 50 years apart. And that's a very strange thing, but it's been a really redemptive thing even for me to have a female in my life that shares those same values. And
of course, I spent my whole business career working, with men, almost ex-military men. But I think the difference of why we get along with men and not so much with women is because men are really strong systemic thinkers, which is logic, etc. And they, I was always amazed they could be yelling and calling each other names, in a meeting and get really angry with each other, and then they would go off and play golf together. You know, they don't personalize things.
It wasn't personalized.
Which is what women, do all the time. They personalize everything. And so being around men all the time, I realized that my brain, I felt more comfortable in that kind of environment than, of course, I didn't have the financial resources to join a sorority, but I just never was into where there were a lot of women or girls, because they just would be so sweet to your face, and then they start talking about you. And in my business experience, I always worked really hard to get women into my organization, but then didn't find out till later, because I didn't pay attention to this, but the people that really stabbed me in the back typically were always women.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, there's a lot of psychology written about that. And I was never into those kind of activities, yet on the other hand, my femininity and my style played a huge role in my business success.
Yeah.
And that's because one thing, and of course I didn't know this till later when I look back, but presence, which is a big part of your style and fashion, having presence made all the difference in the world in terms of people didn't question my authority, because I could walk into a room and have presence. And of course, again, I never paid a whole lot of attention to it until when I had a lot of men working for me. They would always say, "Oh, we love walking behind you in a restaurant and watch all the people that turn around and take a look at you." I said, "Well, it's probably because of the fact that I'm tall and thin." And they go, "No, they really are like, who is she?"
And have like a confidence about you.
Yeah. So confidence, style, and presence are all really, ended up being really important.
Yeah, and I think a big reason we want to do this on the social media platform and talk to other remarkable women in the world, and attract those women who have experienced similar things and feel the same ways, and inspire them to keep being remarkable. Because the hardship or the temptation of it is to just slink back, because you're offensive when you walk into a room. Why? Because you have confidence, and that's not a bad thing. That someone being offended at your confidence is their problem, not yours. But we want to inspire that and bring that out in other women, because there's so many others out there. They're just so few and far between, because it does feel like a rareness.
And of course, I was the first generation of women that actually were able, were in the business place and etc. And during that time, women were always encouraged to wear the dark suit and the little white, shirt, etc. And I was like, I'm not going to dress like that. And so I always dressed very, I guess the right word is feminine, but I always dressed like a woman. I never wanted to look like a man. And so again, it's being comfortable with who you are. But I think for me, the underlying factor that now, sitting where I am today and looking back, God did so many things in my life that at the time I wasn't aware of. But now looking back, I realize that those were God things that happened. And that is, it all kind of, I never really stopped and questioned or thought about, well, I don't have a lot of female friends, a lot of these things, like not personalizing things, understanding politics in the business environment. Yes, I'm a perfectionist, but not to the extent that, it impacted me. So again, moving through my life, fashion was important from a present standpoint, but fitness was really important too. And
when did you start working out? Because a lot of people ask this question because people think it's too late for them.
Well, I I'm asked this question a lot, and they always say, well, how, and I'm like, well, the key to my looking the way I am, still do, is one, because of genetics.
It's a huge part.
Yeah, I'm Dutch, and everyone in the part of Holland where I was born are tall and thin and blonde. But I said that, thinking back, when I was a child, I had polio and had rheumatic fever. But I was a tomboy. I was outdoors. I was riding bicycles. I was always doing things, and fitness was always a part of it. But when I really focused on weights was probably in my 30s. I had to have a physical at Cooper Clinic here in Dallas because of the position I was in business, and they told me I had too much body fat, and I'm like, excuse me. And I said, I only weigh 127 pounds.
Yeah.
They said, nope, you have too much body fat. And so they explained to me,
Like muscle density versus...
Right. And so I said, well, what do I do about it? Well, you start working out with weights. And so I started working out with weights. But the fitness part, equally as important, is the food part. And again, this was not something I did consciously, but growing up in Wisconsin and had parents having a huge garden and having, a lot of dairy, my entire life, and I was the same way. We just never really liked to eat anything out of a box.
Yeah.
And we didn't drink sodas. And so the working out, the food, and I think the most important of all, underlying all of this, is being a happy person.
Yeah.
Which gets back to faith.
Yeah.
Part of presence is, yes, exuding confidence, but it's also people wanting to be around you because you're happy.
Yeah, you're genuinely happy inside, not just presenting something that was happy. Yeah.
And
and you can feel that.
Yeah.
You can feel that from a person, and if it's just a surface level happiness or real.
And it's obviously something that being genuinely happy is important. However, you can still exude confidence and happiness even though you may not be happy or confident internally.
Yeah.
And that's also part of life. I mean.
Yeah.